And later on, he said to me, Barbara, you know that there was a bounty on your head. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me?
Mm-hmm. Hi, Barbara. How are you this evening?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for taking the time to sit with me.
Well, thank you for setting this up and doing it.
So we're here at the Global Peace Film Festival, where 2 of your films are being screened, or one has already been screened, so we're here to screen the other one tonight. So I understand that your films have been screened here before, but this is your first time attending in person. So why this year did you decide to attend in person?
Well, it was because I really wanted to be here, and I really wanted to see all the things that Nina does, because I've heard so much about it for so long.
Right.
And she's so incredible and passionate and wonderful in what she does as far as putting this together, raising money, programming, and I've known her for a very long time.
Now we did, like I said, they screened one of your films, Gumbo Coalition, but tonight we're doing Harlan County, USA. I just wanted to know, what was the selection process for those particular 2 films to be chosen?
The festival decided which ones they wanted to show.
When you were made aware, what was the...
Oh, of course.
Okay.
They asked me, and I said, of course, whatever you want.
So when it comes to the film, I've seen it, which I loved, by the way.
Oh, good, you saw it.
But I was curious because this was early in your filmmaking career.
My first,
Very
by
first
myself.
film.
But I mean, I did Winter Soldier, which was about Vietnam veterans with a collective of people giving testimony of what they did in Vietnam.
Right.
And so we did that. And that film was censored. And it only showed on one PBS station when some other content dropped.
Yeah. So then why did you decide to do the Harlan County story? What drew you to deciding that this was a story that you had to tell?
Well, I was in my apartment and NPR was on the radio and they were talking about this guy named Arnold Miller, who was a coal miner who had just come out of the coal mines. And he was going to run against this guy, W.A. Tony Boyle. And so I wanted to see what would happen. And one of his mandates was to organize the unorganized. So I thought it would be wonderful. And later, Boyle was found guilty for preparing the assassination of Jock Yablonsky, his wife and daughter, who were also running against him, before Arnold Miller.
Right. Speaking of assassinations, you revealed after the film was done, that you didn't know at the time that there was a bounty on you when you were filming this. So I bring that up because this is such a what people would deem controversial. So having found that information out, did it make you a little nervous moving forward of telling what might be deemed controversial stories that you could be seen as a target?
No. One of my favorite organizers, Houston Elmore, when I first got to Harlan County, he called me in and he opened this box and he asked me to pick out a gun. And I had never had a gun before. I mean, I grew up in Scarsdale, New York, which is in Westchester County. And so there was a pink little gun, and I picked that, never to use it. And later on, he said to me, Barbara, you know that there was a bounty on your head. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me? And he said, well, we didn't want you to leave. And I said, I wasn't going to leave.
Right.
No way was I going to leave.
Right. Which when people see the film, if they haven't seen it, they'll see why you didn't leave. There's a particular scene, I think you know what I'm talking about, which shows your...
With Basil Collins.
Right, your bravery. What I loved about the documentary is that the people that you're shooting, they're going about their daily lives. It's almost as if they don't know that there's a camera, recording them. So when you're doing these projects, how do you get a subject or subjects to get comfortable enough to participate in what you're doing in the storytelling?
Right. Well, when we first got there, nobody knew who we were. And they thought we looked like hippies, or they thought that, maybe the company had hired us to do something. And we were coming down this ridge, which is Pine Mountain, and there were no rails on either side, and it was a rainy morning. and our car flipped over, and another car sort of went speeding by us. And so we all got out of the car. There were 3 of us. And walked to the picket line. We were all okay, and that spread like wildfire. Mm-hmm. And then they opened up and trusted us. But at the beginning, they were calling, different names, like I'm Martha Washington and I'm Florence Nightingale, and they wouldn't tell me their real names. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we lived with the coal miners. We were like part of the family.
Yeah. Did you ever feel tempted at any point to sort of like leave the camera and join the picketing? Did you join the picketing?
Well, I joined it with the camera, and I did sound.
Right.
I did sound for 20 years, so I was right there.
Was it, because it's an emotional story, so you can't help but, even me as a viewer watching it, it's like I wanted to be there, sort of like on the front lines with these people because I believed in what they were fighting for.
Next time.
So I was just curious, at some point, do you get that sort of like emotionally invested where you're like, I gotta be there too?
It was wonderful because I had a job to do, mm-hmm. and I didn't want their history to be erased. I didn't want them to be silenced, and I knew that if I was doing this, that hopefully it would stay forever and people would be able to see it.
Right. Overall in your career, have there ever been any sort of difficult moments where you felt like you just couldn't continue, that it was just too much, it wasn't worth it, or did you just always find a way to persevere regardless of what other obstacles might be?
I always persevered. Yeah. Nothing was too much.
What's the why for you when you're shooting your documentaries? Is there a why?
Why I do it?
Oh, for a particular story that keeps you going.
Each story is a different story, filled with beautiful people who are hopefully willing to open up and to tell their story. Yeah. So the why is, please trust us. Please.
Now, this isn't brag, it's true. You won your first Academy Award for Harlan County.
I did.
And the winner is Harlan County, USA, Barbara Kopple.
Some people value awards, some don't, but what did that moment mean for you to have done your first big film and be honored in that way with the industry's biggest award?
Well, all the documentarians sat together, and when it was our turn, we all crisscrossed our arms. And when they said Harlan County, I felt 2 hands on either side of me pushing me up, and my little heart was sort of beating somewhere there. And Lillian Hellman, the great Lillian Hellman, gave me the award. Right. So it was probably one of the most wonderful things in the world. And the coal miners and their wives were watching. And after the Academy Awards, I called them and they said, we were running around Harlan County, we won an Academy Award, we were beeping our horns and screaming and yelling. So it was great.
Yeah, and I love that you dedicated that award to them. It's been almost 50 years since Harlan County, but it's still such a evergreen story. Why do you think it still resonates with people so many years later?
Well, I think people are still struggling to organize a union, particularly in these times where, it's very difficult. I'm making my 3rd union film now, so.
I was I know you're working on a new project, so can you tease a little bit?
It's in editing, but we're still shooting because we need endings and life goes on. And it's modern day unionism. It's sort of the haves and the have-nots. And it's about UPS and the Teamsters, and then the Teamsters and the Amazon workers who they're trying to help organize, and the baristas who are Starbucks, and the deliveristas who are just incredible people, and they have to buy everything, and nobody takes any responsibility for them, and they go through snow and rain and everything to get you, your chicken noodle soup. So.
One last question for you. There's a lot of the themes, I guess, in your work is the labor force. So why did you choose that group to focus on in your storytelling?
Well, I've made a lot of films, and one was on Gregory Peck, One was on Miss Sharon Jones, who's a wonderful singer.
Yeah.
One was on Mariel Hemingway. And they all have different themes,
Right.
whether it's the Chicks, known as the
Yeah,
Dixie Chicks,
yeah.
Shut Up and Sing.
Yeah.
So it's First Amendment rights.
Right.
It's many, many different themes.
Yeah. And now you're inspiring the next generation of storytellers and documentary filmmakers. We have some here. So does anyone have a question for Barbara?
Can you talk about the state of documentary today with the lack of the grants, the dissolution of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting? Can you give any of us some hope or inspiration to continue on with the struggle to make documentaries?
Well, for over my career, which has been a really long time, I've made 55 films. And it's always hard. It's always a struggle.
Yeah.
But you can't let a little thing like money stop you from doing something. And so you get people who will help you, who believe in you, who will work with you and put it together. And that we're losing grants from the National Endowment for the Humanities and the National Endowment for the Arts, and CPB is going away, and I don't know if Independent Lens and ITVS, and it's really a very hard situation to be able to show our films, and people are afraid.
Yeah.
I mean, networks are afraid and streamers are afraid to put anything that's controversial.
Yeah.
So we have to create our own, like Nina is doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Anyone else have a question? Yes.
Are you familiar with contemporary techniques for media preservation, such as the Internet Archive and similar resources? And if so, what are your feelings on them?
The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has all of my films. And I think that the archival of saving them is so important, because Warner Brothers and other places used to just put their films, throw them out after years.
Okay.
And so being able to have somebody who will treat them securely and allow people to use them is such importance. And having great archivists.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I've seen the film. I loved it. Fantastic job. Thank you for your time.
And thank you very, very much.
All right. Barbara Kopple, ladies and gentlemen.